Welcome back everybody, today we're gonna play Brimstone on Icebox. Today is day 74 of playing every agent on every map. Today's agent Brimstone is in my opinion one of the only bubble smokes agents you can play on wall smokes agent maps. The thing is, Icebox and Breeze are pretty open maps with pretty long spots where you have to smoke. So using a Brimstone on a map like this is a possible thing because he has 3 smokes and he can basically do a wall with his smokes. In my opinion, using a Clove or even an Omen on a map like Icebox is not the greatest idea because most of the times you're leaving gaps where the enemies can sneak through or hold you and they can get some free picks on you without you being able to trade them because they can just disappear behind a smoke. Starting off with A-side defense. On A-side defense, if you hear the enemies that are coming in from, for example, belts or from main, you can use a couple of different smokes. One that is pretty good most of the times is one down here, blocking off the old orb. This is also good if you want to get the old orb, or just want to play close with a shotgun. For example, you play close here, you maybe even go in the smoke, play close with a shotgun, wait for somebody to walk in and then go out, or go the other way out. In general, this smoke is a pretty good smoke to play in or around with. Other options for smokes is also one right here. This smoke right here makes it incredibly difficult for the people that are coming through main to get out, and you can just hold them from over here. This spot right here makes it insanely hard for them to get through here, because you have a one-way on them, and the only way they can really get through is by either walking up here through pipes and jumping over, or dashing in, or even going on top of the rope. But that's what you have your teammates for, and they can just hold you. The other option for a smoke in main is one like this one, where you block off the other side. I don't really recommend this smoke over here though, because it blocks off less of the space and the people that are coming through here are gonna have an easier time either way. But you can also use the one way from this spot right here. You have to kind of worry about people peeking you from belt though. Other things you can also do is to play towards backside and put a smoke here and another smoke here. These two smokes are not the greatest smokes either. It kind of keeps the enemies from coming in and planting the spike. You can then even peek out here, have a good peek on them, get back into the smoke and get out again. But in general, playing with these two smokes is not the best idea, but it can be really useful on an eco round where you, for example, can hide right here behind the smoke, wait for people to walk out close here on top, or even close below you. Other than that, using your molly when you have a smoke right here, like this, is something you can do, or using your molly as plant denial. For example, if you hear the enemies are going for a plant, you can get yourself in this corner right here and aim just at around this spot right here. The molly will bounce once and land on the default plant spot. You can also aim it a little farther behind and deny the open plant. For example, if you aim right here at this cross here, you can see there's a line coming, there's a line coming. The second crossing should be bouncing directly at the Chen plant and stop the enemies from planting over here. Other than that, using your stim beacon to either get away or retake is a pretty good thing. For a retake, I recommend you use either a smoke close here or also the smoke on top, but the smoke on top is not that good for a retake. And in general, just smoking once in main and then smoking the second time on top of the spike. For example, if they planted right here, you can smoke right there and get inside of the smoke and start defusing. For your ult, it is something you can use to either stop the plant. For example, if you hear them planting and you're just rotating in, using your ult like this is pretty good. You can then also hold backside, wait for the enemies to walk out back here. But you also need to have a teammate that is holding close. Or you can use your ults on main if you hear the people are getting out, especially if you have a Killjoy ult. If you Killjoy ult right here, there's a spot here in main where people are most likely going to. You can then wait for like 2 seconds on the Killjoy ult, start your ult, and get some free kills on the people that are playing behind there. Other than that, your ult is not that useful on this map because it is a pretty tight map, and in general, you're not getting a lot of value out of it. Switching over towards mid. On mid, you can use a smoke that is close here to block the enemies from coming in, and then you can either go in towards tube and walk down. Makes it incredibly hard for the enemies to take mid, but you have to worry about people playing on top here, or playing on top here that can watch over the smoke and can see you walk up. Or you can just decide to start over here and then slowly walk up with a smoke like this. But placing a smoke right here is in general a pretty telltale sign of you playing aggressively on mid, and it makes it incredibly easy for you to be read by the enemies. And especially if they have a lot of enemies in mid, it's going to be hard for you to get out again. So just holding mid in general is a pretty good idea. So you can smoke A and B at the same time. For example, if your team on A needs help, you can go here, smoke main, or even smoke on top of pipes. And you can then walk over a little bit further and then smoke for your team on B. Talking about B, on B there's a couple of really good smokes you can use on a Brimstone. One of them being the one-way smoke up here. With this smoke you can play in a lot of different spots. You can play here, wait for the people to walk out, collect your free kills. You can also play all the way back here and hold this one way, which makes it incredibly hard for the enemies to come out. This is also pretty good with a Phantom, because Phantom leaves no bullet tracers. Or you can also play on top here and hold the one way. There's a million different spots where you can play, and that's the beauty of Icebox on defense. If you have a smoke, especially a one-way, there's almost infinite places where you can play, and it makes it really hard for the enemies to get out of the mains. So defaulting is a thing that works pretty well on this map. That's also a reason why Brimstone isn't the best smokes on this map, because firstly he has bubble smokes. In my experience, wall smokes are better, for example Harbor or Viper. But the other problem with a Brim is he doesn't have recharging smokes. So he has 3 smokes you can use, and most of the times you need some for the retake, so you can't use all 3 smokes even before the enemies are trying to take the site. Other smokes you can use are, for example, one right here.
Smoke's down.
Also block that one off with a molly inside of the smoke. And then you can hold close here, wait for the people to peek out yellow, hold close here, even spam through these boxes here, and get kills on the people that are hiding behind the boxes. And this smoke in general is pretty good to hold the site. If you have at least 2 players playing here, one guy has to hold the smoke and the other person can hold behind yellow. The other option is also to smoke right here.
Launching smoke.
And hold on to yellow. Even if the people are coming through main, you need to have somebody holding main. But you being able to play on top of this box right here, or even going into this corner right here, which makes it incredibly hard for the enemies to get you out. Because even if they check yellow and go all the way up here, they don't see anything. Even if they have somebody in the smoke right here, they don't think you can still be there, and then you can just sneak out of the smoke or sneak into the smoke and kill the planter in a pretty simple way. What you can also do, especially when you're playing mid, mid is, by the way, the spot where you should play the most, is rotate all the way here through snowmen, and then as soon as you hear them going for the plant, you can use a molly like this to deny them the plant and do a lot of damage on the person that is trying to go for the plant. Similarly, you can also use your ult for that. Just ult like this. You get all of the possible plant spots in main, and the people either have to push this way or push away. And you can capitalize off of that by playing up here. Even though you are kind of in your ult, you're not going to take too much damage because your ult doesn't do too much damage to yourself. And you can collect some free kills. Other things you can also do is to play planting out from mid over here. You're just holding mid. As soon as you hear them going for the plant, you can throw a molly and stop them from planting. This one is less accurate, but most of the times your molly is going to deny them the plant, and they have to get up or plant at a different spot that isn't as great for them. For the retake, I recommend you place a smoke either here in main. The one way is a pretty good one because it denies the enemies the option to play on top. And then you can use your second smoke either on top of the spike. I recommend you have somebody holding this angle right here if you have a smoke right here when you go for the defuse. Or you can even decide to smoke a little deeper if they planted in a different spot. In general, using one of your smokes for the defuse is a pretty good thing, so always save at least one smoke for the post plant. Switching over towards attack. On attack, Brim is actually not that bad. He is the only smoker that can smoke at 3 different spots at the same time, and a map like Icebox that is actually pretty big, this is a pretty good thing. For smokes on A site, I recommend you smoke once here, once on top, and once right here. All these smokes do is deny the enemies the possibility to entry right here, and makes it pretty hard for them to come out. Even if somebody tries to go out all the way back here, they're going to be one weight and they're not going to be able to see you. This smoke on the back is also a pretty good one to deny the angle that is from up here, You can hold people, especially the people that are going nest, from up here, and with a smoke up here, this isn't possible. What I've seen some people do that I actually think is not too great at all is a smoke right here.
Launching smoke.
The reason this smoke right here isn't too great because it allows the enemies to just walk into sight over this spot back here, even play inside of the smoke, and it makes it really hard for you to play post plant. So make sure you don't use this smoke. Another smoke I've seen some players use that is not the worst, but it also isn't the best, is one right here.
Launching smoke.
To stop the enemies from pushing rafters or just peeking you from right here with, for example, an AWP. In general, I recommend you get the AWP off of this angle with either flashes or a reveal, but in general this smoke also allows the enemies to play inside of it and makes it pretty hard for you to go for a plant because they can just peek out or just spam through the smoke, and it is really hard to clear out that smoke. And then one last smoke I've seen that I can say by far is probably the worst smoke you can place. It is one like this. This smoke is incredibly bad for a couple of reasons. Firstly, you're blocking yourself off of getting towards the side. You can have one enemy player defending the smoke in a pretty simple way, just holding here, waiting for somebody to walk in, and then just spraying you. The other thing is you are also blocking yourself off from backside, so you can't take this space right here, and this makes it incredibly hard for your team to take the site. So this smoke right here is basically just throwing you games. This smoke right here is doing the same thing, not quite as bad. And this smoke on top here is okay. Sometimes if you don't have an answer to get the AWP off of this angle, or if you just have an enemy that is insanely good at the game and just taps you from rafters either way or from belt either way, I recommend you can use this smoke, but in general just use these 3 smokes when you want to take a site, and make sure you don't place them too early so your team is ready to take the site with you. So I recommend you use the smokes at about right here. Place the smokes, wait for your team to throw out util, and then use the smokes. I've recently been asked to explain things on Valoplant as well. So I'm gonna show you why the smokes I just shown you are really bad and why they give your team less space to take the site. If you use a smoke, for example, right here, you allow the enemies to take a lot of the space that is behind here. You are basically giving the enemies this space right here, or this option right here, to go towards site. It also blocks you off from taking this spot right here. There can be somebody waiting in this smoke with a shotgun, there can be somebody waiting in the smoke with a phantom or a vandal, which makes it incredibly hard for you to hold the space that you already have on site. The goal of smokes is to block off as much space for the enemies that they can't take in a pretty simple way. So using these smokes right here allows your team to take more space. You can see that it is more space your team has. This space right here is the space your team has blocked off by the smokes. So it is easier to take this space because you can't be held from, for example, back here, or even inside of the smokes you can be held, but like it is hard for them to get out, because walking out of the smoke is in general a pretty bad thing, because your team can be up here, your team can be up here, your team can be up here holding them, which makes it incredibly difficult for them to get out of these smokes. This is also pretty important with a smoke, for example, right here, because the smoke right here allows your team to take basically no space on the site. Valorant is a game about taking a certain amount of space, getting down the spike, and then disappearing again, or trying to hold on to that space. With a smoke like this, you give your team this space, which isn't even on the site. I know it is possible for your team to go all the way around here, but you're also pretty open towards these angles right here, which makes it incredibly hard for you to take the site. And also with a smoke right here, the enemies can play here, here, up here, up here, even behind the box, inside of the smoke, and there's just a lot of spaces where the enemies can be in. And if you don't have 2 reveal initiators, for example a Fade and a Sova at the same time, or a lot of flashes, it makes it incredibly hard for you to take the site, and that's why these smokes are not the greatest. Other things you can also do is throw a stim beacon if your team is trying to run in. A stim beacon is also always a good thing because firstly you are faster, secondly you also shoot faster, so it is easier for your team to, for example, spray through smokes or just run the enemies down and give them no time to escape. For mollies you have a couple of options. One option being to clear out corners. For example, if you know somebody is close here, you can use mollies like this to clear out these corners. Or also use one towards Chen, if you know somebody is behind Chen, hiding. But in general, they are not too accurate, and you can use your molly in a better way to either deny the enemies from pushing in. So for example, if you use the smokes I just shown you before,
Fully smoked.
you can deny them the entry by using a molly inside of the smoke. Same thing up here, even though your molly is probably the best post plant tool your team is gonna have because it lasts pretty long. So also saving your molly for post plant is a pretty good thing. Just don't play too aggressively if you have your molly for post plant. Play a little further back, hold maybe flank for your team, and make sure your team is not playing too aggressive. Hold angles for them, just for example wait for somebody to peek out rafters if you have enemies that are playing below rafters, things like that. And then towards your ult can be used for a couple of different things. Using your ult right here is a pretty good idea if you know somebody is either playing behind Chen or playing behind the dice right here. This ult is pretty good also to take sight. You can take sight at the same time this ult is going off. You can run in, wait for your ult to go away and take the space right after, because it makes it impossible for the enemies to play in this close corner, this close corner, up here, below here, and just in general this right side right here. The other option you have is to either save your ult for a killjoy ult, or use your ult right here to push the enemies back that are trying to go for a fast retake. In general, I think your ult is a really good tool on attack. You can also use it to play post plant, obviously. But the ult isn't the greatest on defense. Switching over towards mid. If you want to take mid, you also have a couple of things you can do with your smokes. One smoke I really like, and I always throw it on Viper. It is one like this, because this smoke allows you, if you place it a little deeper, to cross under. Or the close smoke right here allows you to lurk in towards mid, maybe destroy the killjoy turret if they have one, and if they don't have a killjoy turret, maybe a sage that is walling off this area, you can destroy the sage wall, and you can have a pretty free lurk through mid. And then there's also other options. If you don't want to go under, or if you don't want to go tube, you can take mid space by smoking right here. And then walking down with your teammates, checking all the close corners, and splitting in towards the A site. If you want to go through here, you can smoke up here if you don't want to take it. The kitchen area, there's usually somebody playing there, holding your team. You can smoke this spot. You don't need to smoke the spot most of the times. You can just hold it because it is one angle. You can fight pretty easily, especially if you have your whole team coming with you. As you just seen, you can also throw a stim beacon here if you want to go through mid fast and go over towards B. But then you need to worry about people pushing main if you don't have a teammate that is coming from main. Now that we are already on B, I can show you the smokes for B. Smokes for B are pretty simple. Smoke once here, smoke once top side, and then smoke one either back here or even a little further back. Like you would with a Viper wall. These smokes are pretty good, and this is also the reason why I think Brimstone is the best bubble smokes on this map, because it actually allows you to hit B. Most of the times when you hit B, you only have this smoke and this smoke, or you only have this smoke and this smoke. Or you have this smoke and this smoke, and you have to worry about the top side. This is really good if you want to go for a plant, if you use all three smokes, but your team needs to commit. If your team is a team that likes to go in, but then as soon as they have some resistance against them, they slow down, it isn't a good thing, and to use all of your three smokes like this. So I recommend you either make sure your team is actually going in for you to use all three smokes, or you just use two smokes, for example here and here. So you have one smoke left to smoke whatever you need to if your team isn't fully going in. You can also use a molly up here to stop the enemies from pushing out of the heaven area, and this is in general a pretty good thing you can do to stop the enemies from stopping your plant. You can also use a ult to do a similar thing. Just use a ult like this. You can then go for a plant right here, and you can get more or less a free plant. A thing you can also use your ult for is as a pseudo smoke. So you use your ult, go for a plant, because it also blocks the vision for the enemies, and it makes it incredibly hard for them to spam you or do anything against you while you are going for the plant. One thing you can also use your molly for is to play post plant. You can use a pretty simple lineup by just getting up here on these boxes and then aim at this spot right here. By the way, this lineup works with almost any agent. Your molly will bounce once and land right here. This also works with a killjoy, with almost like any other agent, even with a KO or a Sova. Just use one bounce. If you're playing a Sova with a Viper, it works the same thing. Just to throw a pretty simple molly from a pretty safe spot to deny the enemies a way to defuse. Also, farming orbs is a pretty good thing because your ult is a pretty strong one. Another case for your ult is to ult backside of yellow, if you know somebody is here, and then just either spam through these boxes right here to stop anyone from walking out, or take the space at the same time. So if you know somebody is yellow, tell your team, we are not gonna go yellow, we let that person be there, I'm gonna ult it, you guys just take the front side, and make sure the person can't get out from back here. If I had to give Brimstone a rating from S to F on Icebox, I'd actually give him the A tier. Out of the bubble smokes, he is in my opinion the best one you can use because he has 3 smokes and it makes it possible for him to take the B side. And also his smokes lasting very long is a good thing on this map because especially on an attacker it is a grueling time to try to get to down the spike, and with long lasting smokes this makes it pretty easy for you to get down the spike and take all of the space you need. That would be it for me. If you want to see any other agents on any other maps, write them down in the comments, and if you want to see anything else Valorant related, write it down there as well. And as always, don't forget to like and sub, and come say hi to me on Twitch where I stream almost daily. Have a great rest of your day, and see you guys very soon. Bye!